Hi, we're here to talk about high availability and NetBackup. And Jason, you're going to run over high availability attributes of NetBackup. Obviously, very, very important to our customers that these machines are kept up and running all the time.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Gareth. So, by definition, high availability, what is it? By definition, it's the uptime of the backup environment. So, oftentimes, as customers, you might be thinking about HA and disaster recovery are coupled together. They do belong in the same conversation, but however, they're technically a little bit different, and I'm going to walk us through that process. I do want to point out that we have a number of different resources, documentation that's available that talks about NetBackup and high availability. And I'm just going to be walking through a couple of the main points. So Site A and Site B. Site A could be your main location, your main data center. We've got what we're representing here is 2 master server physical nodes. These could be virtual machines or physical, node 1 and node 2. We have a media server that has its, of course, it's going to have its devices attached to it. This could be tape or disk, right? And then we've got our clients down here. So there's 2 components to high availability. First of all, the master server high availability, which I'll talk about, and then we've got our high availability support for our clients that we protect. This could be VMware, Hyper-V in the virtual world. These could be application clusters like Microsoft Exchange, Microsoft SQL, Microsoft SharePoint. So I'll talk about that. Site B, we've got across the WAN link. This could be a central location. You've got the NetBackup server, media server, and the devices that are connected to it. So first of all, NetBackup and high availability applies. Let's talk about the master server, right? NetBackup's a 3-tier application: master server, media server, and clients. So there's a number of different high availability solutions. First one I'll talk about is our own storage foundation or VCS offering. These could be clustered nodes within the same data center, or a global cluster. You can actually expand that across multiple different sites. There's other technologies. I won't go through all of them. Microsoft Cluster Server, MSCS. We do have some other technologies around high availability. When we're putting it in the context of NetBackup and high availability, oftentimes you'll hear about AIR or targeted AIR, auto image replication. So even though it doesn't pertain necessarily to high availability, as I mentioned before, high availability and disaster recovery are coupled together. So you do want to keep that in the context. AIR, storage lifecycle policies, the DR strategy can apply to your HA strategy as well. The main emphasis I want to point out, as I gave the definition of what HA is the uptime of the backup environment. So there are no single points of failure. This could be multiple devices. This could be multiple networks, right? Backup interfaces. So no single points of failure. So making sure that the backup environment, whether you're using storage unit groups or media server load balancing, you're ensuring and guaranteeing that the backup recovery environment stays up and can protect these applications or servers, physical or virtual. So I do want to just talk about the application clusters that I referenced: Microsoft SQL, Microsoft SharePoint, Microsoft. And so how do we back up those application clusters? Well, you protect it with the virtual IP address. So what we're representing, this could be multiple systems. NetBackup communicates through the virtual IP address, and it doesn't matter whether it's physical node 1 or physical node 2. We can ensure we back up those assets.
So effectively what you're saying here is that it doesn't matter whether something fails over here on these application clusters, NetBackup still knows where that data is sitting.
Correct. Correct. So in the high availability discussion, it applies to the clients that we protect, but more importantly, it's the backup environment, which is, in this case, the master server that holds the catalog, that holds the database, and controls the operations for the backup environment.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. And so one last question. This is a 1+1 scenario. Can you go to n+1?
Yes.
Depending on how big your environment is.
Yes. As I mentioned before, you can expand this across different sites, Site A and Site B. If you use the storage foundation or global cluster, you can expand that across 2 physical or multiple physical.
It could be local, it could be metropolitan, it could be wide area.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, and we have many customers that are doing this today.
Right. Thank you, Jason. That's great. Thank you very much.